Gotcha. There she goes. Hold on for a second. Call meeting to order. This is the Norwalk City School District Board of Education regular meeting. This is Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. Roll call, please.
Mr. Linder.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Here.
Mrs. Snellinger. Here. Mrs. White. Here.
Everybody please stand for pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need a motion to adopt the agenda as it was delivered to us. Thank you, Mr. Linder. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mr. Linder.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Yes.
Mrs. Snellinger. Yes. Mrs. White.
Motion passes 5-0. This time, section 2, public participation. Each person who wishes to address the board will be asked to give his or her name and address. Remarks should be limited to 3 minutes in length. If everyone who wishes to do so has had an opportunity to speak, then additional comments can be made up to allotted time of 30 minutes. Is there anybody who would like to address the board then? Yes, ma'am.
Do I need to stand up or just speak loud?
Whatever you.
Okay. My name is Rachel Fox. My address 14 Hickory Street, Norwalk. Coming to this meeting tonight with just concerns for my children and their education. Last year, we chose remote learning because of all the restrictions in the schools. I did not want those to be implemented on them. Plus, my husband was deploying, which was a big thing for us. So to have all this chaos, which I know everybody had their own type of chaos, was a lot. They really want to be in school this year. As far as I know, no mask mandate in school. But on the bus, which for my son, he'll be doing marching band this year. I have already spoke to the athletic director, told him if this is implemented, I as the parent have the option to take him to all away games and will do so. My main concern coming tonight is to know if there are still restrictions in place. According to the handbook, everything's still in there. That's why we won't sign the final form yet or have my son. I want to know if that'll be changed or updated. Also, do you guys have the authority at any time to reverse Superintendent Cooley's decision to make math optional in school? Because that would be a very big deal for me. I would pull them in a heartbeat if they were told that they have to wear masks again. Actually, before pulling them, and not to sound crazy, I would walk them into the school every day and say, this is my child, they came to learn, you will not put a mask on my child. I have this vision as a parent. So I'm just asking you guys, what is the protocol, the new normal for schools? Will you have the option to change your mind at any time and put our children in masks again? And that's it.
Anyone else? We would like an appointment with Mr. Cooley to call his office and make one.
Oh,
Get those
absolutely,
out.
yes.
Those addressed. Anyone else? Okay. Treasurer's report.
Okay. So I put before you both the minutes and the financial reports, the minutes from the regular meeting last month and the special meeting last week. There's copies, they're hot off the press, we just got it finished, so that's why I thought I'd bring them in so you can look them over. You say we try to get them out ahead of time, but it was a bit of a tough month. Same thing with the financials. I brought you a copy of the financials. I just got finished closing July this morning. Some months go quicker than others. Some months I'm done on the first day, and sometimes it takes a week or so. So those were a little bit late too, but we are finally in August, so that's good. The two big items in July were the property tax settlement and the school district income tax. Aside from state foundation funding, our other major source of revenue is property tax. State foundation funding makes up around 53% of our revenues. Property tax makes up around 28%. School district income tax is around 8%. And I still don't have a definite number on our state funding with the new budget and the fair school formula. I probably won't until October, so we'll save that discussion. I've been to quite a few webinars and conferences and everything, and nobody really can come up with the actual number. There's a lot of variables that go into it. So we're just probably gonna have to wait till OD comes up with it in October. So I do have some colored pictures. We have the school district income tax that we talked about first. I'm sorry, I know it's probably pretty small for you back there, but you can see it if you go to the agenda and click on the link, you'll be able to see it. So the school district income tax, we had some good news on the school district income tax. I've been concerned with the changes in making unemployment not taxable at the federal level, which made it not taxable at the state level, and that automatically made it not taxable for school district income tax. Also, unemployment levels and all the help wanted signs you see, I was really worried that our school district income tax would be reduced, but we really had a good quarter. The July payment is for April, May, and June months. It includes the tax filing deadline, even though it was moved to May this year. You remember last year it was moved to July, so that shifted the large payment to October. So it's tough when you look at this to be able to compare years and quarters. But what I think is really important here is when we look at our July of 2019 payment, you'll see that it was, and fiscal years are different. So when you look at July 2019, that was really July of the other year. But anyhow, so July, it says 2020, 851,368. You'll see that was our highest payment that we had for a quarter up until that point. And then this quarter came in at 878,512. So that's really good. This is our highest quarter ever. So with all of the consternation in the economy, I was really glad that that happened. It means people are working, so that's always good news. You'll notice the yellow line on there, that's the 2009 recession. It took us a long time to recover from that recession. You'll see the blue line, 2014, is when we actually came back from the recession. So for us to be coming back this quickly from the effects of the pandemic is really good. The peach colored ones up there, those quarters are quarters that were less than the quarter the previous year. So we compare quarter by quarter, because our income tax comes in 20, 40%. So you have to compare to the previous quarter. So you see we had some instability there after the recession before things finally came back. School district, it's a good tax, a good supplement to the property tax, but it's much more volatile and subject to rapid reductions than our property tax. And you can see that when you look up there for the year over year change. There's some years where, we've had some huge reductions over $100,000. So that's it's something to keep in mind. But of course, it is only 8% of our overall revenue. So that's why it's important, but it's not make or break. So next we have our property tax. Real estate tax, we received both an advance and a final settlement in July. This is the second half of the 2020 tax year. So it splits over fiscal years. Since we're now in fiscal year 2022, and our tax collection is on our calendar year 2020. Sometimes it takes until August before we have the final amounts. That's what happened last year. So when you look at your comparative statement, you'll see that there was less received this time last year. That's because it came in August last year. This year it all came in July. So we have a picture up here. This is their entire year collections, tax year 2020 first and second collections. The green section at the top, this is what we received last July, or this July and last February. So it's broken down by the type of property and then by the type of levy. So there's different millage rates for the different classes of property. So up here you see class 1, which is your residential and agricultural. Class 2, which is commercial, industrial, and mineral. And then the PUP, the PUPP, that's our public utility, tangible personal property. And then it's broke down by the different levies, the general, the operating, the bond levy, which is what we use to pay the debt service for the high school, the emergency, and then the permanent improvement levy. Part of the collection amount is actually reimbursed by the state. That's the yellow section. So you'll see for older levies, residential and agricultural taxpayers are only paying 87.5% of the amount of the actual levy. The state pays 10% for non-business property and 2.5% for owner-occupied residential property. Then there is the homestead exemption, which reduces a property's value by $25,000 for older citizens and disabled citizens. The homestead is now back to being income eligibility. For a while, it was anyone 65 and over, but now it's back to be, although if you were eligible then, you got grandfathered in. But now it's back to the income eligibility.
Which is what?
I think it's indexed to inflation. I'd have to look it up. It's not very much, maybe 35,000.
Okay. Still
So it's
low
not very
30s.
much. There are two bills right now down at the state legislature where they're talking about trying to increase the homestead exemption. Both the dollar amount is $25,000 off the value of a property. So if you own a $100,000 house, they automatically take $25,000 off before they apply the millage rate. So it's a good reduction. But
At one
that
time it
hasn't
was
changed.
32,
20
wasn't
hmm?
At one time it was 32,000,
That's
right?
That's the 32,000 is the income eligibility.
Right.
25,000 is what comes up, and those haven't changed. So that's what the two bills are right now, and I didn't look up what their numbers were. We did do a resolution, probably been a couple months back now, to show support for trying to get those passed, because this is one of the few things that are actually a win-win, both for the taxpayers and for the schools or any other taxing entities, because the state reimburses all of this revenue, so there's no loss to the school, and the taxpayer receives a discount. So it's one of those win-wins. So it would be nice if they were actually able to pass that and index it for inflation, or just get rid of the income eligibility, make it for everybody 65 and over like it used to be. But we'll see. The reimbursements, though, this is part of it. They've also been a target for our state legislatures, which is why you don't see any reimbursements for the emergency levy. So when you look in the middle, you see there's little lines. There's no rollbacks for the emergency levies. The state stopped doing this, so our emergency levy wasn't included in the rollbacks, which is kind of a part of the way the state likes to take your money but not distribute it back down to the local level. So the next section is the light blue. It's the deductions. These are the charges that the county auditor and the county treasurer receive for handling all the administrative part of the property taxes. This is the sending out the bills, the collecting the money, sending it to us. There's a formula in law as to how much they receive. Board of Elections is the fees. If we were to have a levy on the ballot, or when we have board members up for election, they'll take that right out of our tax collection. But on here, for that one, you'll see there were no board members up, there were no levies on, so we didn't have any Board of Elections charges. And finally, in gray, you see refunds. This is if there's a board of revision hearing that changes valuation for a homeowner or a business property, or when a property becomes exempt. It usually goes back 3 years. So then what they do is they refund that back to the taxpayer, and that comes out of our ongoing collections. Then we have another picture.
Before we get too far. So the auditor and the state, they take almost 218,000 fees out of us,
Mhm.
just to take them, collect their money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's all set. There's a formula by how much and how big your county is and all that is how it's determined. But yes, but you know,
That's what they do.
that's what they do, right? So this one, and we have the same thing with the income tax. The state takes charges out of our school district income tax, which I don't think I had on that slide, but they do the same thing. Everybody has to keep their cut.
Mhm.
So this one is just a difference all year from 2020 to 2019. So you'll notice for calendar year 2020 tax year, we had a net gain of just over $55,000, which I think is way down at the bottom in green. There it is. The $55,222.91 increase was based on inside millage and new construction. That amount is split between our general fund, the bond payment fund, the permanent improvement fund. You'll notice up at the top, there was almost $100,000 less collected in delinquent taxes from one tax year to the next. That's because county does tax lien sales every so often. They sell off delinquent properties. You'll notice a lot of times when you read those in the paper, it's called tax ease. It's a company and they buy properties and then they have to pay all the back taxes and liens against it. And then when they sell the property, they recoup their money. But that only happens every so often that the county does that. So last year they didn't have it, the year before they did. So that's where that difference is. The majority of our increase of the 55,000 was really in our public utility personal property tangible tax. Because we're not yet at the 20 mil floor, when valuations increase, it causes our effective millage to decrease. But good news here also, we're getting very close to the 20 mil floor. We need to have a valuation of around 350 million to reach it. Once we do reach the 20 mil floor, then we actually will collect more revenue instead of having our effective millage roll back. So that would be exciting. And I really think with, I just talked to Roland a week or two ago, and he said probably with our next valuation, we may be at the 350. So that'll be really exciting. And that is all I have for you this month. Any more questions?
And then you want the approved special session meeting minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Done with the treasurer's. Okay. Motion to approve all items in the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Wick. Have a second? Thank you, Mrs. Snell. Any other discussion? Before we vote? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Wick?
Yes.
Mrs. Stellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Linder?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Personnel, Mr. Cooley?
Yes, we have one resignation. I saw Dan up here, Dan Robertson. Thank you for your service, driving bus for Norwalk City for the years you've done. If times are desperate, we hope to give you a call here. So keep your cell phone on because we may be calling you.
I got caller ID.
All right, number 2, employment, supplemental contract, Melissa Alberti, cleaning up a last year marching band contract. Substitutes listed both certified and classified 2B, 2C. We have several educational assistants that are helping in the classroom specific to students that we have and student needs. Jennifer King was part of the hiring with there, very excited. Sometimes the 11th hour this late, you're not knowing the quality of the pool of candidates, and we are very impressed with the 4 listed there. So very happy to be August 10th and find the quality that we have. Jennifer King is very excited about that. Number 3, we have a classification change from educational assistant to special needs educational assistant. So that is all for under the personnel.
We have a motion to accept all items under personnel.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Linder. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Linder?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Mr. Stellinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Wick?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. All right, superintendent's report.
All right, I'm asking for approval on several items. Maddie Roche had asked me about the most interesting item on the agenda, so I had to say the bus routes were, and obviously new position for me to see the complexity of 243 pages, as I mentioned, to see it all, right turn, left turn, every street that we have in our district. So that is impressive, and like I said, I got to see that, so a lot of thanks to Tim Shield, Corey Schmidt, Jerry Barker. They've done a lot of work to get that in order, to make sure our students are in the places where they should be in the pickup times. It's a pretty complex task and new for me seeing that. Handbook items, not a lot of change, but these are our last ones to be approved at the building level. We have NHS handbook, Dan Ballman's at Main Street. We have coming through Mr. Slaughter and our athletic council, the athletic handbook, Trucker Talk, which applies both at Norwalk High School as well as Norwalk Middle School. Number 7, we asked for one change in the calendar. It is listed currently as a Sunday commencement. We are asking that to be moved to Saturday. We really liked how things went this year. Actually, this coming year in 2022, and I know it states May 2021, that should be struck and be 2022. It works better, and people traveling in to have the rain date, if we're going to have it outside, to go to Sunday, because obviously that's Memorial Day weekend. we don't want to go on Memorial Day Monday. So that's why we're asking to go Saturday. I think Saturday night always feels a little greater for the kids. That's like showtime, and that's Saturday night. So like I said, at sunset under the lights, it seemed a little more powerful than even all my years of having the main gymnasium at 3 o'clock. So we're gonna have an evening performance on Saturday instead of a Sunday. Number 8, acceptable user policy for students. That's simply a signature that's done every year by students and use of our internet, et cetera. 9, 10, 11 are kind of boilerplate things that we've done, making agreements, contracts with Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio. The second one, Midwest Regional Educational Service Center, to provide services to our students. The last one, we're fortunate, we started this past year to have a full-time nurse from Fisher Titus Medical. And we have a 3-year contract, so that's going to be next year, the 2 years that follow. So we have a quality person there, and we're fortunate to have her and serve the needs of our kids in Norwalk pre-K-12.
Do we have a motion to accept all items under superintendent's reports? Thank you, Mr. Linder. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Any questions or discussion?
There is no 12, right?
No.
Just double checking.
It's the way
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It was-
Just double checking. I thought maybe Carly was gonna miss graduation since it was last
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so good, we're doing it
year. That's all
again.
right. That's all right.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Linder?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Mr. Snellinger?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Okay, item for the information, legislative reports. Everybody?
Well, we're still learning about the budget bill and all that. We haven't really nailed down the fire funding formula yet, but I think it's gonna be good, and they did promise that no district will receive less than they did last year, minus the reduction. So remember, 2 years ago, we had 449,000, and last year was half of it. So those reductions are supposed to be reinstated, and we will receive at least that much money, and we will receive our student wellness money. So if, once we find out in October, it should be good. So, big part is the not doing the deductions, not taking the local tax dollars for open enrollment, charter schools, private schools. So that's going to be huge. It's completely going to change the way the forecast looks, both on both sides of the revenue coming in and going out. So that's going to be totally different. There is 2 homestead bills out there. I will get those numbers and let you know, because that really is important. That's a win-win. But I don't think other than that legislatively there's anything up there.
Number 2, EOB News. Mrs. Wick.
I heard that the local schools met with Mr. McCauley, and he met with Kenya and Kish. So, and the only thing I have is we have just under 900 enrollment, and I have my meeting tomorrow morning. So, as of this morning, there was nothing new to tell.
Number 3, Capitol Conference, November 7th to 9th.
Everybody should have received one of these in the mail, right? The Capitol Conference. It is November 7th to 9th in Columbus, and it's in person again this year. Last year it was virtual. I do need to know what the plan is if you would like to go to Capitol Conference, because I have to make reservations by September 9th. So,
Yes. And it was a week earlier.
yes, I think, I didn't look up when our actual board meeting is. I think it's not board meeting night
Last year.
the last time it was, and we had to rush back because the best session is on Tuesday at 3:30. The Ohio Education Tax Policy, and we can't miss that. So, let me check the schedule. Yes, November 16th, so we're good. We won't have to rush back on that Tuesday. Nobody will have to miss it. So let me know, and I will, get everything taken care of. Who wants to go?
Me for sure. It's good that one.
Can I sit over there?
I got back for us.
You do. After this, too, don't you?
It's interesting. We need to learn a lot of stuff.
It is
Your meetings and yours, it's
Yeah.
well
interesting.
worth it.
Okay, we have motion for adjournment. Thank you, Mr. Linder, a second.
I'll second.
Mrs. Wick. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Wick. Roll call, please.
Mr. Linder?
Yes.
Mrs. Wick?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mrs. Schnellinger?
Yes. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Update.